Hello, Grandpa. Here is my code I've been working on recently. I'm creating a Lexer, as I said, and so here we start off with some constants, which is just for my own personal use here, but in the actual code, we won't use it. Um, we're actually using an EBNF, um, but this is just like my temporary EBNF for myself to reference. And I have an error class if it doesn't recognize the characters position to go through and read the input on the lines and advance to the next one once it's satisfied. Creating tokens so that we can associate value to different types of um, values that um, a piece of text could hold, such as an integer, float, string, such as that. And then we have our Lexer, right here. And so basically the heart of it is making tokens and saying, hey, if you see something that relates to digits, which is a constant, as you can see, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, send that over to make number function, which is here, which I'll explain in a bit. And if you see a double comma, send it over to make string. And then if you see a comma, create a token called comma, because we know it's a comma. The second we see a comma in the text, if you see a left parenthesis, create a token for left parenthesis, right parenthesis, create a token for right parenthesis. The whole point of this is to associate value to input and then allow it for it to be parsed eventually and then interpreted as well through Python. So basically, to sum it all up, oops. I have a dot counter here for my make number. So we're including the 0 through 9 digits and then also allowing for a dot. And so if we see a dot, we're going to add +1 to the dot counter. And if it already equals 1, we're going to break because, it can't have more than one dot in it for a float. So basically, that's just a way to identify that it's a float is if it has a dot in it. And so we're going to say if the dot counter equals 0, it's an integer. So create a token for integer and assign that said value to an integer. Else it's a float, which means that it has a dot in it. And then for string, we're going to say, hey, if you see double parentheses here, we're going to assign it to the string integer, or sorry, the string token here. So right now I'll just show a quick example of that. Here's what I run it through and I just import my file. So down here we'll say 14, 15.5 and hello. Then it will say, hey, I see a left parenthesis token. I see a 14 integer. I see a 15.5 float. I see a string that says hello, and I see a right parenthesis. So pretty much that is what my Lexer does. I'm just taking input values and assigning it to tokens, which then from there, the parser and interpreter will create a syntax tree for the Python to be able to read, and then the interpreter will interpret that information and feed it to Python, which is then how we're getting our input to actually work for our main program, which I'm not showing here, but we have a banking program. So for instance, like the banking program might say 100, we might call the withdraw function to withdraw $100 from our account. And it'll see that number 100 as an integer, and then it will feed that to the parser, which will feed it to the interpreter, which will feed it back to our Python program, and then we'll withdraw $100 from our program. So that is the gist of it. Been working on it a good amount, pretty proud of it, and I'll keep you updated with our final project.